Ken Carson finally dropped his album More Chaos, and here's my album review on it. Let's get into it. So overall, this album was very solid in my opinion. I do enjoy this album a lot, and I do think it's fire. My first listen, I thought it was like a good album, but it's definitely grown on me a lot more, and I do enjoy this album like 10 times as much as when I first heard it the first time. But yeah, only 4 skips on a 22 song album is pretty good in my opinion. Definitely means Ken Carson did solid on this album, and I do feel like the first half of this album is like good, but nothing crazy. There's some like standout tracks throughout like the first half, but like the second half has like no misses at all. Like track like, you know, like track like 11, 12 onwards are all fire, and I do enjoy the second half of the album a lot more compared to the first half. But when this album first dropped, there was only 21 songs, and then like an hour later, like 30 minutes later, Off the Meter with Playboy Cardi and Destroy Lonely dropped on this, and I was like, what? Like, we're finally getting an OPM collab with them all three on a song together officially after like 4 years, which is insane that we finally got this track. And honestly, the song Off the Meter is in my top 5. Off the Meter is fire, with Ken on the choruses, and then Ken doing the first verse, then Lone on the second verse, and then Cardi finally coming in for the third verse and delivering as always. But honestly, my top 5 songs on this album in no order would be Down to Earth, Confetti, Naked, Kryptonite, and Off the Meter. Those songs are just so amazing, and I like stand out to me the most, and I do with those songs the most, and they're just overall good vibes, good like everything. And I do enjoy the lyrics on this album a lot, but one of them that would stand out to me the most would be I got the gadgets to be Batman now. I enjoy that bar. If you know, you know. But honestly, things I wish that could have been better on this album would for sure been some features. I know we did get the feature on Off the Meter with Cardi and Lone, but I do wish there were like some, maybe an Uzi feature or some Lone features on some of the songs, or just like more features in general besides that one song on Off the Meter. That's just my opinion, but that's all I would have liked to see. I'm adding this in while I'm editing the video, but I do just want to say that I also feel like this album is a little bit repetitive in a way. Like, I cannot listen to this whole album in one go because I do get a little bit tired, but like towards the end I do get brought back into the album. But yeah, I don't think I could ever see myself listening to this whole album in one go without like getting tired of it, like feeling it's repetitive. But like I said, there are definitely some standout tracks on this album. But which album is better, Cardi's album Music or Ken Carson's album More Chaos? In my opinion, I feel like you can't really compare the two because Music, Cardi's album, has been out for like a month now, and Ken Carson just dropped More Chaos, and obviously like recency bias and people will say Ken Carson drops the better album. I feel like you just got to give Ken Carson like a month or like a couple more weeks, then you could compare the two. But even then, I feel like comparing artists' album to each other, even if they're signed to the same label, it shouldn't really be compared to, in my opinion. Just enjoy the music you enjoy and just love the music you like. But is Ken Carson's album More Chaos album of the year? So far it's not, in my opinion. I do enjoy this album a lot, but I feel like picking an album of the year so far would be hard. I do think it will for sure be in my top 10 at the end of the year. I'm not too sure, but then again, so many rappers are dropping albums this year, and I feel like they will just drop better albums than Ken Carson. But maybe Ken Carson could be my top 10 this year. I'm not too sure though, but let me know your thoughts. But yeah, overall a pretty solid album from Ken Carson with More Chaos. I do enjoy it a lot, and it will be in replay mode for a few weeks, a few months, and I hope Ken Carson does tour Australia because I do want to see him live. Hopefully, because these concerts do look fire. The concerts, the mosh pits, they look hyped. I'm gonna be honest, they looked hyped. I do need to be in that mosh pit for Ken Carson one day. And to be honest, the streaming numbers look good for Ken Carson's album More Chaos with over 10 million streams in its first day. But people are comparing this album to Ken Carson's last album, A Great Chaos, which I feel like you can't really compare the two because like, you should just give this album more of a chance to let it grow on you and see if you actually like it more than A Great Chaos. And if you do, great. If you don't, then that's fine too. You shouldn't just say Ken Carson fell off or like is bad just because he dropped like maybe a slightly less better album than his last album. But I enjoy this album, I fuck with it. But let me know if you enjoy this Ken Carson album More Chaos. I'd like to know your thoughts. But like and subscribe for more Ken Carson videos. Follow my socials below. Check out my channel for more rap videos. Like and subscribe for more. It's been DC. See ya.